Welcome to our conversation with Annemarie Jacir and the actors of Palestine 36, who just had their world premiere of this epic film at TIFF. We greatly appreciate the team squeezing time in for us because they have been through a festival hurricane with the world premiere of this film over the last few days. TPFF is hosted on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, and Haudenosaunee. This territory is within lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, and we are grateful to be organizing, protesting, and raising our collective voices for Palestine on this land. As we explored in this film the wide-ranging effects of settler colonialism on Palestinian land, it is important to remember and connect it with the settler colonialism experienced by the traditional keepers of this land. I'm going to try to keep my comments as brief as possible so we can get straight to the action. Unlike Venice and Berlin, TPFF does not have a Golden Raccoon Award to honor and bestow to exemplary filmmakers that come to Toronto. But if we did, the very first would go to Annemarie. Since her very first film, like 20 Impossibles in 2003, she has been building up a body of Palestinian cast, crew, and filmmakers who have then gone on to become names in their own right, with their own feature films premiering at TIFF, like Zain Ghazal, who is here with her first feature film, Sink. Annemarie, yes. Annemarie has never looked for European or Western validation in her cinema, always favoring to work with first-timers in Palestine and giving them the opportunities and skills that they can take forward in building our cinema. Not only that, Annemarie has been one of the most generous filmmakers with her time and expertise. She trusted us with her film, Salt of the Sea, as our opening night film at the very first TPFF. She has been an advisor to TPFF, especially in our early days when we absolutely had no clue what we were doing. Till this day, she is fielding questions from us about dilemmas that we face. And she has graciously and most shockingly done more 4 a.m. live Q&As than any other filmmaker that has appeared at TPFF. She has been a friend and a champion to the festival. We immensely respect her work that weaves the Palestinian identity, narratives, and politics in an authentic and uncompromising way. She will literally go to all ends of the earth to find a way to get what she needs to do to tell our stories. It's also an honor to be here with her again. Our last conversation was in 2013 with the film When I Saw You, which actually didn't even seem that long ago till I looked up the date this morning. And we are very thrilled to have her with us, with several of the cast members today. Today we do have with us Billy Howle, who played Thomas in the film. We have Zaid Ghazal, also an actor in the film. We have Wardi Eilabouni, who played Afra. And we have Azzam Fakhriddin, one of the producers of the film. I also want to thank the wonderful Sama Haddad from Philistine Films who helped us coordinate this panel. She was supposed to be our fearless moderator today with all the juicy stories about making this film, but unfortunately she has a plane to catch later this afternoon. I want to remind every single person in this room and online, and we have a lot of people online and we're really grateful for them joining us, to please vote for this film for the TIFF Audience Choice Award. It's very easy, tiff.net/vote. It literally takes 2 seconds, but the outcome could be historic for Palestinian cinema if the film wins the award. Lastly, I had a really important conversation with Saleh Bakri before he flew, and he told me about a Palestinian-led initiative to support the artists in Gaza, who despite the genocide are still documenting their lives through art and need our support. The organization is called Hassala.art. Hassala is spelled Hassala.art. It's an urgent call from Palestinian artists to support the artists in Gaza. And we will donate any funds raised through this event to that campaign. You can find out the link through the Zephi email that you received in getting the location to this event, and we will be sure to be continuously promoting this campaign during the festival. And please don't forget that TPFF starts on September 24th. Buy your tickets, and please help us beat the algorithms by telling your friends and families and neighbors to join us. We have something for everyone this year, and we hope to create a space where we can gather and grieve and celebrate during this time of genocide. Let us replenish our cups together so we can keep on fighting for Palestine. I'm going to start with you, Annemarie. I wanted to thank you and for being here, but also congratulate you on the most amazing reception we have seen for Palestine 36. From the audience reaction to the media coverage, from your red carpet actions, your film has truly changed the vibe of Toronto and the Toronto International Film Festival by putting Palestine on the stage. Have you had any time to process the impact of this premiere, and how are you feeling now that this film is in the world?
Thank you, Dania, and of course, beautiful introduction. No need for any of it because we're family. I feel Toronto Palestine Film Festival and the audience here, I've been here so many times. I really, and this weekend has really solidified that. I feel amongst family, and I think I just discovered a long-lost, unknown family member who's also creative because she wrote this book that I just got. So, thank you. I haven't processed it. It's been a really intense 3 days. I did not imagine or expect the reaction that we got on Friday with the premiere. It means everything to us, to all of us. It was a hard film to make, and to finally be able to put it in front of an audience, and our audience, and to have a reaction like that means everything. For I think all of us, but especially for me, and so I'm grateful. I'm very grateful, and I will sleep and process it. But I saw some stuff on social media, and I was like, what? Did that happen? Yeah.
Now, we were, we're not in denial how this film was made and when it's been made. You made an epic film. During a genocide, you've released this film, world premiere, as this genocide rages on. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like, not just from a production side, although that is important, but even at a personal level about making art during genocide?
Yeah, I think that's the more interesting question. That we managed to do it despite all the obstacles and stopping and starting, and it was a really nightmare for the production, for the team, for the producers, financially, it was a complete knockout. Because the preparation for this film, a film this large, which was the biggest film that we'd ever done, and all of it was supposed to be filmed in Palestine. We had restored a village, we'd built army vehicles in Nablus, we had British, from the 30s, it was an immense production. And when all of that fell apart and we had to start again from zero. Meanwhile, it took me a long time actually to talk about how I kept saying we have to shoot in Palestine, we have to continue. It was sort of stubbornness and stupidity, I would say also, I just didn't, what else can we do? I don't know what else to do, except that I know how to make films, and so that's what we have to do. And I always say that, and I think it was true for everybody on our team. It's not the first time. We have all our lives been in front of violence. We've always been struggling. Occupation, there's never been, it's our grandparents, it's our parents, now it's us, it's the new generation. Unfortunately, it's always about finding ways to do things despite everything. And it makes it the film was important, always important, but then it became so much more critical. That was a strange sound. It became so much more critical. And I think it was also, for us, the pain we were in. I think you feel it on screen. I think we were all in a lot of pain, and I think for the cast to reenact violence about a time period that was so long ago, and yet it was so real. It's our friends in Gaza, it's our colleagues, it's our relatives, it's our people. So we did it for them. We did it because they do it all the time. Gazans are the most resilient and creative people on earth, I am sure of that. So we're, it's our privilege to do it, and it's a must.
Can you tell us what happened to the village that you created? You had to abandon it. What happens to those sets and that work?
Village is a village near Salfit. We restored it, we planted crops there, we spent months and months there working with people of that village that live nearby, which was amazing because, they knew, they were like, oh, this is, Abu Muhammad's house, this is Blaba's house, oh, I'm gonna, hang out here this summer. That village is basically all the lands in the last few months has been completely taken over by settlers. It was impossible. We did manage to come back to film in Palestine, but that village we could not come back to. It was too dangerous. It was dangerous to put cast and crew in front of, the settlers are running a rampage in the West Bank, and especially with, eyes elsewhere, it's been, even worse. And then especially cast, that were, in military uniform or in, wearing hattas or whatever. It's just like, so we had to do those those scenes in Jordan, and then other scenes that we were able to do in Palestine, we did.
Billy, you came on to this film, a very historically heavy film, that in many ways carries the weight of a nation. And in many sense, we're seeing as history repeating itself in present time. How was it for you as a non-Palestinian cast member to be a part of this project?
So initially I was starting from a place of, not complete ignorance, but something close, I suppose. I think from a very young age, injustice is something that I've been sort of aware of. It's something that's in my conscious thoughts a lot, even on a very micro scale. Something like this, the timing of it was very interesting because I think it was very unexpected, and very kindly a casting director in the UK mentioned my name when the discussions around the casting of the role of Thomas happened. So Thomas is based on a real person. Annemarie told me that, and I think maybe our first conversation said there is somewhere a book of his diary entries from the time. So I went looking online to try and find a copy of it and managed to find one. It's out of print for a very long time, as you can imagine. I think it was his brother that compiled them all and then published it. That in itself is really quite revealing. I think you are able to trace quite succinctly, really, a young person working for a mandate government in Palestine in the 1930s, really truly believing in this project. I think the thing that where it stands alone is that the difference being with other mandatory powers across the Levant is that the aim is to install a government, and actually with Palestine that kind of isn't the case, and I think things dawn on him throughout these entries. A lot of it's quite romantic, he goes on like journeys on camelback and all of that stuff, and he's lauds the sort of the beauty of the environment and all of those things. But I think he slowly realizes the injustices around him. So it was interesting because the process of me piecing together this story kind of ran parallel with that. And by the end of his diary entries, he writes this missive to his boss, Arthur Walker, played by Jeremy Irons in the film. And it's just this diatribe. He just tears into him, basically, and just says, like, how dare you? He's outraged by it. And everyone tries to sort of, I mean, his replacement sends him a letter back and says, you know, I thought better of you, you know. I thought you believed in what we were doing here. Surely you know Arthur Walkup is doing everything in his power. And he can clearly see that there is no attempt, really, to right the wrongs that were done to the Palestinian people at the time by the British. So I'd say it's a long-winded way of saying that for me it was a very steep learning curve, but I think it fundamentally, by playing this role, and I think art has the power to do this, it's opened my eyes to wider injustices, and it is now something that I deeply, deeply care about, and it's changed me, my perception of the world fundamentally, I think, yeah.
I just want to say that, you know, Billy's saying that he had a steep learning curve. Yes, for you maybe, but for me, you know, when we had our conversation, it was very clear that Thomas was a very complicated, he was based on a real, person, inspired by those diary entries, but it was the only really the British character who, people came there with the good intentions, some people. That character came with good intentions, and as you come to a place from far away and then suddenly you're there, you understand that it's a failed project. And it was very interesting to see how Thomas would do that. And I felt from our very first, steep learning curve, but emotionally, I felt that you very much, you know, were already there, I have to say. You were already there, and you also surprised me because he learned Arabic. He was reading Arabic, like on week one, we're in a car, and we go by some sign, and you read it, and I was like, what? I mean, you read everything. You read the diaries. You also taught yourself the language. You were like, what? I mean, it's incredible. It's an incredible dedication.
You put a lot of us to shame who've struggled in Arabic classes. Struggled in many, many Sundays in Arabic class, and can barely read a sign. But one thing I know from our conversations is how much you poured yourself into this role and took in your surroundings and the environment you were in. I know it's had a profound impact on you. Yeah,
it certainly has. I mean, I haven't mentioned this, but I took the opportunity to visit Palestine actually during the course of making the film, and that really that's the bit that fundamentally changed me really as a person. And I came back and I remember kind of having to renegotiate the track I was on with this character. Because all of these things that were being referred to, although we're kind of a stone's throw away really geographically, there are certain things that are sort of innate to the place itself that you will only really understand attempt to understand by being there and being around it. So yeah.
One thing that in discussion, talking about the film, is that your cast came from all over Palestine, not just 48, but 67 and the diaspora. So Zaid, you are an actor from the West Bank.
Yes.
Nablus. Shout out to Nablus. Can you talk a little bit about your experience as being an actor based in the West Bank as opposed to anywhere else in Palestine?
Hello at the first. Actually, to be an actor in Nablus or in Palestine, West Bank specifically, it's really hard because you cannot have the freedom to act what you want, because there's a lot of restrictions that you have, especially from the Israeli occupation there. And you feel unsafe. It's not for you as an actor. Everyone in West Bank feel unsafe. But when you talked or you want to just put your feelings with some act or some show, this is not like you want to do something, but you don't have the freedom to do it. So you feel you are get arrested or in this place, So yeah. The thing here is like West Bank right now, it's like we have a lot of settlements and settlers, and West Bank have a lot of really big things that happen there, like economy issues, the people, they are unsafe, a lot of attacks, a lot of refugees camps, they are destroyed, a lot of people, they are getting from their houses. So, and a lot of checkpoints. It's really hard to travel in West Bank. If I want to travel to, I live in Naples. So when I come to Toronto, it's take for me like 1 day or like let's say 22 hours to come to the Jordanian airport, because for me as a Palestinian live in Palestine, we don't have airport in Palestine. So we should go to Jordan, our brothers in Jordans. So I need to cross the borders. I need to cross the Palestinian border, the Israeli border, and then the Jordanian one, and then from the borders to the airport. And this like journey, it's take like a lot of time. And it's also dangerous and super risky. Like you wait on the checkpoints on your city, you will have the settlers, they will attack you, they shooting like with the guns, they throwing rocks on the Palestinian cars. So it's really hard to live there actually, yeah.
Well, we appreciate you choosing the path of acting. Do you see yourself continuing in acting?
Actually, yes, I feel like, yeah, this is one of my dreams actually in my life, that when I was young and my father spurred me in this path. Of course, I love to do this acting because it's talked about myself and also to talk about my country. But I hope I stay like in the life, you know. I hope I don't get arrested or something happened with me or with my family. So yeah.
The long journey he took to come to Toronto was also a long journey he took to come to the audition. Can you tell us about?
Yeah, when I make audition in Bethlehem, it's like I will tell you this horror movie. Like every day happened in Palestine, in Naples, or in any city. For me, when I come to the audition it was in Bethlehem, and Bethlehem it's like far away in the car. In normally way, it's like taking 2 hours to come to Bethlehem to make the audition. So it's for me like I get out from like I take the car, I go to like it's a transportation, normal popular transportation in Palestine. I wait on the checkpoint. There's like 18 soldier on the checkpoint say like move, stop, let's search you. They search you. They want your ID. They search your phone to see some photos if you have something on Palestine. There's a lot of people like they get arrested by their phones. After you pass this like small horror movie, if you are lucky you pass it, and you wait like 2 hours, something like this, you will face another horror movie like the settlements and the settlers on the road. These settlements are like illegal by the international law, by the way, and like you see the settlers, they are running in the streets and throwing rocks and attack the Palestinians in their cars. And if you are super lucky, you get stopped from them. You cannot defend yourself because they have like the police and the Israeli army. They defend them and they don't defend you. And if you want just like to, let's say, to keep yourself alive, to push someone, you will get maybe shooting, and it's super easy to get killed in Palestine. Actually, for me, I feel like because I'm a Palestinian, live in Palestine, I feel my blood is super cheap for this world. Like no one care about my blood, or even like we have a lot of numbers that, or they are not numbers actually, they are dreams, and they are having families and a lot of things. So if you are getting shot, even if you get shot and you get killed, you don't, like your family, they don't have the permission to take your body, because the Israeli, they will take your body and they put it on a fridge and they will put a number on your body. After 20 years, they will give your body again. And there's a lot of Palestinians, like they are on the fridge having a number for more than 10 years. So it's really hard to come. I was like crossing, this process take for me, it's like 4 hours, 5 hours in the car, and it's like the normal way, it's take 2 hours, something like this, and also 5 hours with this risk that I told you. Checkpoints, settlements, shooting, you should defend yourself, and always my mom told me, God save you, God help you, and be careful, and I say for her, mom, like I'm a Palestinian, what the God, like, what I should do, like this is my life, this is my normal life. I'm 21, this is my life for 21 year. So yeah.
And then he came to the office in Bethlehem. 6 hours. I think you told me that when you came in, it was like, I'm here to audition. And I remember it was like late, of course, for the audition. And they were, the casting director was like, you want to see him? He's late. I'm like, he's coming from Nablus, yeah, I want to see him. I have to say something about Zaid in front of him that I haven't said. Doing auditions is not really like an audition where I ask actors to perform something. It's a conversation, and I want to understand who they are and their personalities. And what do they know about the world around them, and how do they feel about it, and whatever. It's a conversation.
Yes, I remember this conversation.
And he was 18 at the time of casting. Aww. He knew everything about history, about politics, I think we just talked on and on and on, and it was just like amazing, the knowledge in his head.
Thank you. Annemarie, you have, yes. In this film and your past films like Lema Shuftak, you have a way to find very young talent that can hold a stage and a performance like no other, usually first-timers. One such person is Wardi, one of the youngest cast members, but she also played one of the most difficult and powerful roles in the film. Wardi, can you tell us about your experience, being cast for the film, how you auditioned, and what that filmmaking process felt like for you? في الإنجليزي or عربي مش مشكلة.
Okay, I think Arabic is more comfortable for me. Hello, first of all. أنا اسمي وردي علبوني ومثلت دور عفرة. كانت تجربة كثير حلوة، وكانت عن جد هي أول تجربة إلي. كانت شوي صعبة، صح؟ كانت صعبة، وإنه نفيق بكير كل يوم ونروح، بس كنت مبسوطة فيها، كنت عن جد مبسوطة. Yes.
So she introduced herself as well, that this is her first experience, and she was really happy to go through that journey of having the first experience.
مع إنه كان صعب، بس ما كنتش أحس بالوقت، لأنه كنت عم بعمل إشي أنا جد بحبه، وهذا إشي إنه جد كنت أحلم فيه كل عمري، فإنه ما كنتش أحس بالوقت، وكنت عن جد بتمنى إنه نقعد أكتر وقت، وبس يخلص الوقت إنه تاع التصوير إنه لا عن جد خلص يعني.
So she was saying that it was very difficult, very long, but she never felt the hours because she was enjoying it. And every time there was a cut, she'd be like, "No, I want more. I want to continue."
هيك كان حلو صراحة، وبعيدها 1000 مرة، والناس كانوا غادي كثير مناح. بصراحة أنا كنت خايفة من أول يوم، كنت متوترة يا جماعة، يعني أول مرة كنت متوترة صراحة. بس لما رحت أول يوم وشفت كيف التصوير، لا يعني كان بدي أكمل كل عمري بهالإشي، والناس كانوا كثير مناح، كثير كلهم ساعدوني، وبالأخص أنماري، شكرا إلك.
So yeah, she was very nervous, but when she got into the set and met everybody, she felt the community was really welcoming, and she loved the experience. She would love to continue in this path, and of course, she thanks Annemarie for the opportunity.
Can you tell us about the video you made for Annemarie for audition?
الفيديو يعني لما سمعت خبر إنه ممكن إني أنا أقبل بفيلم، أنا انجنيت، يعني شو فيلم؟ فدغري جبت التليفون، قعدت، كانت أمي حدي بالأول، بلشت أصور، كل شوي تقطشني وتقولي لا احكي كمان هيك إشي، واحكي كمان هيك، وابصر شو، وخلص يعني هاي مش انا بدي احكي كيف بدي. قلت لها يما روحي انا بصور لحالي، بس يجي وقتك تعالي. فراحت امي، قعدت انا هيك بمحل لحالي، فتحت الفيديو، وانا يعني بحب اعمل تنويع بالفيديو. فشو حكيت باكثر من لهجه، عرفت عن حالي باكثر من لهجه، لانه بقدر احكي لهجات انا عربي. وحاولت اعمل زي مسرحيه بالفيديو نفسه، زي اعمل مسرحيه تعريف عن حالي. فحسيت انه هي طريقه اني اعبر عن حالي، وكمان اني اعرف عن حالي بنفس الوقت. فبعثته لأنماري وشافته يعني
Yeah, she's saying when she was so excited to send the video for Annemarie to show her talent, and her mom was telling her, do this and do that, and she told her, don't tell me what to do, I want to do my own thing. She went inside the room alone and, started giving different dialects, talking to Annemarie in her own spirit, and she was, and she got the job.
I want to say something about that video, is that you talked about When I Saw You. When I cast When I Saw You, there was a little boy, the main actor in the film is a little boy. I saw 200 boys till I found the one that I knew was the right one for the role. And Wardi's video came to me, and I said, I have to meet this girl now. And then I met her, and I cast her, and I remember, Osama, the producer, was like, she's just like the second person you've seen. Remember when you saw 200 people? And I was like, she's the one. I knew when I saw the 200 boys, I saw the one, he was the one. She's the one, I don't want to see anybody else. And he was like, but you should see other people. I don't want to see anybody else, she is the one. Her video was, she put the camera, I want to explain the video, she's like, as you can see, so much spirit and so much heart and so much emotion, and this beautiful video that all actors should see, because she put the camera, and it's just the camera, and she's just talking to me, and she does 6 different Arabic accents, and she's going on and on and on, and it's like an incredible audition. Yeah.
And she was only 10 when she did it.
She was 10,
because, Wardi's 12 now, right? Yeah. That's amazing. Azzam, you're the producer, or one of the producers on the film. Can you tell us how you came to work with Annemarie, and what was your role in bringing this film to life?
Well, initially I'm not a producer, I'm not a filmmaker. I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman. But Annemarie and Osama are friends of mine. I love art. Of course, I love Palestine. And we've collaborated in helping them with When I Saw You, and we're just friends. But it was, I think 2020 was it, when Annemarie was telling me about her dream project. She's like, this is the project that I want to do, and maybe retire afterwards. She was like really passionate about it, and then she started talking about 36. And of course I was very intrigued, because I have a personal relationship with 36, that period. My dad now is 93 years old, and the first time he was a refugee, he was 6 years old, because my grandfather from Bisan, he was with Al-Hajj Amin Husseini, Abdul Husseini through the revolt, and he's one of those people who had to leave and go to Syria, then Iraq, and my dad was 6 years old. So I've seen that whole journey, and I know so much about it because of my grandfather, but I was always wondering why people don't talk about it. Everybody talks about the Nakba, and that strike that turned into a revolt was something that is so important in Palestinian history. And then it was COVID. I remember Osama came, we were sitting in my restaurant, and he's like explaining, and I said, listen, I'm sold, I'm in. And and just was a great journey. I'm so proud. It's one of those projects in my life that I'm just so proud of.
Azzam also, a little secret, studied theater when he was younger, and he has a role in the film.
If anybody watched the movie, I would challenge you to know who I was. You would never know.
I'm going to watch it in slow motion. I'm also going to watch it in slow motion because I tried to find the young boy from Lama Shuftak as an adult. And I hear, you told me that you encountered him and he ended up in the film. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we were filming in Irbid, actually. Have you guys seen When I Saw You? Remember the little boy? So we were filming in Irbid in a scene that's not in the film right now, where Nayef is tortured in a British prison. And this guy comes in, and then he comes over, and I'm at the monitor, and he says, "Hi, you're filming. I didn't know you guys were here filming. Nobody told me about this film." And I was looking at him, I'm like, "Who are you?" He's like, "Don't you recognize me?" And I was like, "I don't recognize you. I'm sorry." And my AD was like, "Should I get him off the set? Should I get him off?" And I'm like, "Wait." I'm like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Mahmoud." And he's like, he's now, you know, huge. And he's a man, and he's got, you know, and I was like, but it's his eyes. I mean, if you remember when I saw you, and you remember those eyes, those like amazing eyes. And he was like,
because he was 11 in the film.
He was 11 in the
and
film.
And now it's, you know, the film was made in 2012.
Yeah.
Mahmoud is a big guy now.
So, and yeah, so then he was like, and I was like, "Oh my God, I wish, you know," and he was like, "Can I audition? Can I just be in the film somewhere? I have my job, but I can come, I can take a day off." So he has a cameo in the film, and I'm not going to tell you, but he has a shot.
Okay, Palestine 36 is a movie you have to watch at least a second time, because it's so full of exquisite details, which I do know. I mean, I watch over 100 films a year for TPFF, so you do see, you know, the cream rise to the top when you see that level of details and attention to history, and I notice when those details are off as well in certain films, as my co-programmers will will attest. But you know, the one thing, you know, I've seen a lot of stories. I've seen some of the threads you cover in the film appear in short films separately. But what I loved was to see all those components that I have seen over 18 years of programming kind of come together in one film so cohesively. You know, so that was one thing that I took away, those details I looked at the food on the table. I looked at, you know, what people were smoking. Like, every attention to detail was so authentic to the history. But at the same time, I found myself slipping out of the past and always kind of going to the present. And it just seemed like a movie about 2025 in olden day clothes. And I think that was the one thing that really struck me, that I was like, this is today, these are the fights I'm having, these are types of the undermining conversations in the movement that I see repeating to this day. These are the, you know, the dehumanization of Palestinians that are justifying where we are today. And I kept finding myself slipping back into the present, even though your details was really entrenched in the past. And I think what really got me was the colorized archives. And that was, I think all of us who watched the film felt it was very trippy. Like, we lost all control of time. We just became uncentered in time and space. Is this CGI of today? Is this of the past? Is this now? Is this real? Like, you really kind of confused us. Or really questioned really past and present. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, writing a film of the past, when the past is playing out in the events today? Did you have to go back and adjust your script, or did today's genocide impact sort of the final product? And can you please just talk about the archives and colorized? Yeah. I had never seen colorized archives in a film.
Yeah. So a couple of things about the details, I think, because it's so important. And I have to say, I work with a Palestinian production designer and a Palestinian costume designer on this film. Nail Kanj, Hamad Atallah, my props master, Hilal Jabbarin. Like, the artistic, the look of the film is so important, and those details are what we know, or that we can obsessively research. And we were obsessive, everything was so important to be right. We're working in fiction, we have the freedom, the poetic freedom, but everything has to be really right. And I really want to credit their work and their obsessiveness to get everything from the colors, from the material, from this. It's like it's ours, it's our film, it's our story, and it has to look like us. So I want to say something about that and that team. The British had done, the Israelis, I mean, it sounds really bad. The Israeli army is doing nothing original. Even in their occupation, they are not original. we know about food, clothing, they've everything has been, stolen from us, land, everything. Even in their occupation, they're not original. Everything that the British did, they are doing. Collective punishment, blowing up houses, torture, waterboarding. I mean, it's like a collective punishment. All of it, it's like a handbook that was like created and given to them. And it's like, that what I found was really fascinating in the research about it. And so those conversations, the film feeling like it's about today, it was always about today because it's never ended. It's never ended, this cycle. It just keeps going and going and going. And unfortunately, it's the same, generation after generation is living the same thing. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. And so, so it's depressing that we watch this film and it's still so relevant. Mm-hmm. I wish there was something about it that didn't feel relevant. So it's a modern story about a time that's our parents or grandparents, The archive was so critical in my research. The work of so many academics and scholars really was something I leaned very heavily on. I mean, this has been an 8-year process. At least a decade of reading and collecting and thinking. And I just also shout out, not just to my artistic team, but those scholars who have so devoted themselves to talking about those years and this story. And then I had the archives to look at. And the archives were incredible because there is that world, and everything is documented, from people, farming, picking olives, to farming, to walking down the street in Jerusalem, to signing a shoe, to the army blowing up a house, like to this. I mean, it's all documented. Even a car, like there's in one of the archives, like from the sea, like they were sending in, boats with like the stuff, the British had already been there. It's important to say that about the film too. It wasn't like suddenly they had already been there almost 20 years at the start of this story. And then I watched a documentary by Peter Jackson about World War I, and he'd colorized the archives that I'd always seen in black and white. And I was blown away by the feeling of when you see somebody's skin color, that stain on their teeth, like all of those, like the color, like how alive it became, and how I was so fascinated with even more with the faces of people and the life. And then I started imagining our archives colored. Those archives colored. I wanted those women, the tatris, like what they were wearing, like what the walls of Jerusalem, like all of that in color, how it looked also. And that is something I really insisted on doing for the film, because the film is not about this village of El Basma. It's about all our villages. It's not just about Jerusalem. It's about a whole country. And archives helped also, I think, show that. It's an entire world that has been eradicated, and there it was. It's like a simple moment of a little girl running down the alley, like skipping. There's one archive where she's skipping. I just kept looking at that little girl. What happened to that little girl? In 12 years is the Nakba. This is, in 12 years, all of this is starting to, will be crushed, and will continue till this day to be crushed.
And just sorry, did you colorize?
Yeah, we colorized it.
You colorized
My
yourself.
producers, unfortunately, had to deal with that fact that I just wouldn't let go of that. I would not let go of it. They're like, but it's just black. Everybody knows it's archive. It can stay black and white. Yeah, we know it's archive. And in the film, it's archive. It's obvious that the frame rate is different. It's obvious it's archive. But I really, it's because it's expensive to do that, but I wanted to do it because it's a document. It's a document for us, and I hope it'll, it's something for us, and to have.
Yeah, I thought it was worth the money spent. Whoever you had whose arm you twisted it, tell them it was worth it. Because yes, it was obvious, but it wasn't at the same time. You didn't know what to because it just seemed, in there so seamlessly. In many ways, it was like, I can't believe I'm seeing my people, like not just as black and white, but seeing my people actually protesting and trying to resist. Okay, I know how important it is to hear from the audience, so I'm going to throw it to the audience. If you have any questions, we can take, maybe we'll do a round of, I see 4 hands, maybe we'll do 4 hands. We'll take the questions, I'll try to write them down. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we just actually launched a merchandise whole, I mean, we have this t-shirt, but we have, you know, mugs and tote bags, and it's nice because we have, you know, whoever watches the movie, so it's literally wordings or expressions that were said by different characters, and then, but they're timeless, so it's not really related to the movie. So you have Aishat al-Thawra, and it can be, you know, so maybe we will just tell them, you know, where the link.
Sure,
yeah,
we can share that.
Yeah, we'll share the link with you, and we can ship anywhere in the world.
You can send us some t-shirts too. Yeah. And I see one hand up there. Okay, I'm going to just do a quick recap, just for the sake of people on audience, and then anyone can jump into the conversation. The first one is related to how the past informs the present. The second one is just about arts, media, culture coming together and how much has changed, and about, you know, it chipping away the entrenchment of, I guess, current narratives. And what can we as regular people do to make Palestinian filmmakers feel welcome?
The past, I think it's essential to understand the revolt of 1936, to understand anything about where we are today. There was a Fallahin, farmer-led revolt that was strong, and it was almost successful against the British. Palestinians have been fighting for their freedom for so long, and they gave them a run for their money. We had that moment that we could have succeeded. And the British knew that because they couldn't control the countryside. They could control the city. The revolt that was happening in the city was happening in a diplomatic way, in the ways that they knew with the upper classes. People were, Palestinians, going to London to talk about in conferences our freedom. The British knew how to play that game. But they didn't know how to deal with the Fallahin. And they lost control. And so they brought in more troops, they took it to another level to crush that revolt. And they managed to crush it, but they can never crush us. They can't crush us. So I think, and that sets the stage for the Nakba. Our leadership was already exiled when the Nakba happened. The villages had files. There's something called the village files. They had written about every single village, who was intelligent, who was active, who was talking, who was a threat to authority. They already knew all this. It was like so well planned and so well thought about and so controlled that we were weak by 48. We had already fought a battle that was, you know, and I think that, so it's important to know, I think it's very essential to know, and now it's just, you know, as we know, continues. So that's why I think, I hope that answered the question. The second question about arts, I think everything that we do in our different ways, you know, we are artists. Azzam is an artist at heart, but not, you know, like, we couldn't have made this film without the support of the community, of other people, of, you know, we need everybody working on all levels, and everybody works, and doctors work on their level, and everybody, I just think, and lawyers, it's like, it's all important, because we have to hit at every level, everything we do, that we are, the struggle exists in every single thing that we do. People in Palestine who are taking their children to school in the morning despite checkpoints, finding ways around them just to take their kids to school is the fight, you know? So I think it's important. The arts are important because a country without arts is a country with no soul, but I think all of it is important. And last question was, what can you do to make us feel welcome? I mean, you have made us feel welcome, so welcome. And I appreciate that, but I want to say, like, it's like, I am so happy, like, I was so happy with the premiere on Friday and yesterday too, and us being here now with you, when the community comes out for us is so critical. I have to say, I've been to TIFF before, and I haven't always seen our community at those screenings. Haven't seen us there, and I look for us, and I need us. I need our community. I need my community there. That's all I care about, actually. So what I had, like when I saw you here, you know, I remember I think I even asked Dania, like, where is our community? We need you. I can't overstate that, how much we need you. I hogged the mic. Would you like to say something?
Sure, yeah. 3 questions at once, so I'll struggle with this, but okay, so number 1, parallels. So somebody asked me, I think yesterday or the day before, about sort of historical veracity or sort of the historicity of this film. And I sort of said to the person, like, try not to get bogged down in this too much, you know, because I think it's very easy to do. I mean, I can tell you that all of these things are evidenced and, you know, multiply. You know, there are like several iterations of buses of people driving over landmines, etc. In terms of the writing of the film, there are modern equivalents everywhere you see. I'm reminded of the scene with in the boardroom, you know, talking about building a wall. You know, it doesn't take much to tie those 2 things together. I think it's very easy to fall into the trap of cynicism and overcomplication of those things. I'm reminded also of like the silencing and isolation of the Palestinian voice at the time of the movie. For instance, like closing down the printing press, right? How do we get this message or, you know, out to the wider world? Well, with great difficulty is the answer. The same thing is happening now. Why is it that the West is so adamant that we need white journalists in Gaza, you know, to report on what is happening on the ground when a brown Palestinian voice won't do? So it's the same. It's almost copy and paste, you know. There is continuity in every single element of oppression that you see in 1936 to 1939 to today. Yeah. Go.
No, go ahead.
Number 2, no. Do you want to speak? Do you want to say?
No,
Okay.
I want to say something. I mean, a little. Yeah, you don't want. We'll just do a. It goes no. Very good. Cut. No. The question up there in the audience about what you can do is like why the community needs us. It's also tied to what, you know, Billy is saying about the printing press. Like, yes, we are an opening weekend with a gala screening, but we are being silenced big time. This film is being silenced, and you know that is why, you know, that also shouldn't fool you that we were there because we need you, but also the reason is because there's the battle of erasing this story, and it's, you know, it's being silenced, and so when we come together and we post and we say things and we say we want this and we want that. I can't tell you how many, by the way, screening the film in theaters, trying to have a theatrical release is a struggle. People say, well, your community doesn't come watch film, they're not interested in these films. It's not true.
Yeah, and to, talking of silencing, you know, Thomas actually, as being this British guy, emblematic of something resembling a conscience, right, on the British side. We don't grow a conscience, we're born with one. He develops one while he's there, you know, and his eyes are wide open, and it's a thorn in the side of people today to see that. They don't want to admit it. Although Thomas ends up washing his hands of this, right, in exasperation, I think, again, that there's another modern equivalent. We see that time and time again. I don't know what to do with this. So I'm going to keep it at arm's length and walk away. I'm going to add my voice to the noise by adding my opinion to something. You know, actually, there's a lesson here to be learned, which is to shut up and listen. And the voice that needs to be listened to is the Palestinian voice. There was a third question, was there? No, I think that's it. That's all I have to say, I think.
I'll just summarize. Question is, do you want to make a film that goes even before 36? talking about the research process and how do you, having to go to non-Palestinian sources and how do you adjust for that. And the last question was the pivotal role of the journalist character and the voice or the inspiration for that character.
I would love to make film about that period. I would love to, there's so many films that I would love to make. And even before that, I would love to make it was an uprising in 1897 that I would love to make a film about. It took us 6 years to finance this film. I hope, every time I say that, but it never happens. Like each of my films take between 6 and 7 years to finance. I always think it's gonna get shorter, and it hasn't yet. But the ideas are there, and there are a lot of filmmakers with a lot of ideas, and they do need support to make it happen. So yeah, it's a great period to talk about. The journalist, Khaloud's character is a mix, a kind of a fictional mix of two real, actual characters. One was a socialite in Jerusalem, a Palestinian woman who was, the upper class, the neighborhood. You see the exterior of the house is actually in the neighborhood Katamon in Jerusalem, where that couple would have lived. We went there 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's completely, there are no Palestinians. They've been completely ethnically cleansed from that neighborhood. We went and we filmed the house for the film there, and then the interior was somewhere else that we could actually shoot. She was in that neighborhood. She mixed a lot with, the British, diplomatic, diplomats, and it was a very mixed world. It was a very alive world. There was music, there was life, there was, possibility, and I was interested in that possibility, that something people, the way the world could be. And a journalist, Palestinian female journalist, who founded newspapers and was a real force of nature. They sort of married those two women together to create the character of Khaloud. Third question was?
The research process and the use of non-Palestinian sources.
Oh, yeah, that's such a good question. Most of the archives came from the UK, because our archives have been stolen, destroyed, as you said. So relied heavily on, there were several different sources. All of it came basically from the UK and from France, the French archives. There were a lot of newsreels that were, there's been a lot of, some of it had to be restored, actually. For Yusuf, we didn't just colorize, but we restored a lot of the archive. It's credited in the film. There's 6. I have an amazing woman who was our archive producer. She had a huge job because she was just sending me stuff all the time, and I was choosing. So it's from many sources, archival. There are people who preserve archives and are allowed to, unlike us, who get our archives stolen.
I want to add something based on the question here. I think the power of this movie is, besides the fact that, it shows that, what's happening right now did not start in 1948. But I think you realize that it's also proving to the public that, Palestine was never a land without people. Besides seeing the villages, you see the party, you see, people in Jerusalem. And I think it entices people to research more, because of that myth of saying we came and we took and there was nobody. So, I always, you say, that the British brought so many troops to fight that revolt, but how can you be getting 100,000 to fight a land without people? I mean, there were people, So I think it, it goes beyond just incriminating the British, but showing what really happened there.
I will say, if when you watch the film for the first or second time, stay and watch and read the entire credits. They are long, but they're long for a reason, because there was so much mobilization and energy and work that went to put this film together. The credits themselves are so full of resources and information, and does give at least a tertiary understanding of what went into making this film. Minus the blood, sweat, and tears, but just the sheer amount of work that people put into creating what I would say is a historical record, that it's an accessible historical record of this period of time that we, as I said, in 18 years of TPFF, very few films that we have, focuses on this period of time. Some from the 20s, but really never, it's very rare that we'll see anything from, the Arab Revolt. So yeah, be sure to give the credits some credit, because there's a lot of information there.
Just add,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, if you follow, just regarding the merchandise, just remember, I'm doing the producer thing. So just follow Palestine 36 Film on Instagram, and one of the links has the merchandise. I don't want to miss the opportunity. Getting merchandise also supports the movie.
This is how movies get made. So I will, end this session with giving everyone an opportunity, or of the final word, of, just open-ended question, what comes next, either with the film, with your careers, your aspirations, next projects, reflections of your time in Toronto.
بحب إنه أكمل بالتمثيل صراحة، لأنه جربت هاي التجربة أول مرة وقلت خليني أجرب، بلكي ما نسفتنيش، بلكي مش إلي هاي الشغلة، فجربتها ولا بدي أكمل. يعني لقيت حالي يعني من وأنا صغيرة وأنا وأختي نعمل مسرحيات هيك، إنه مش عن جد مسرحيات، إنه هيك إشي تسلاي ونعرضهن لأهلي إنه هيك للعب ومزح وهيك. إسا مع الوقت صرت أحب هاي الشغلة، صرت أترجى أختي تعال نعمل مسرحية، يلا أختي هون يا سما. يعني هي البداية كانت، هي بدايتي. فلما اجت لي فرصة هذا الفيلم قلت أكيد يلا، وبلشت فيه وكثير حبيته، وإسا صار حلم حياتي إني أصير ممثلة وأتعلم بجامعة NYU.
Okay, so she was very delighted to have this experience, but she was skeptical if she's gonna like it or not. And once she did it, she loved it. She used to do like small plays with her sister, and always excited to do it. But now, since she did the real thing, she really wants to continue and would love to go to NYU to continue her education in acting.
I talked too much.
Yeah, sorry. No, it's. I just want to say something about the feeling of helplessness, I think, and that's the exasperation, the character I play, and what that represents, and walking away or keeping it at arm's length. There are, even in the most minute way, things that all of us have a capacity to do or to change. There are grand gestures, there are the creative act in pursuing that. There is no hierarchy in solidarity, as far as I'm concerned. If all a person is able to manage on any given day because of the sorrow, the deep sense of sorrow that people feel, is drawing a picture, then so be it. But there is something that everyone can do, and this isn't the fight for Palestinians alone. This is the fight for oppressed people across the globe.
Actually, for me, it's like I want to finish my university. And also, for me, like acting, it's really like my dream when I was a child, because like I learned acting, or I don't know, Annemarie, if I told you this story, but I learned acting, or like someone who support me in acting, he's my father. And my father, he studied in Egypt, in Cairo, American university in Cairo. And he was like in 70s, 60s, something like this. And it's like the revolution in cinema in Egypt. So he loved the movies and shows that happened there. And he come back to Palestine, he married my mother, they bring me into the life. I'm the youngest one actually in the family. So my father would like always love to play the movies and to watch the movies in the night. And he also he was having a work in the morning, but he always get late in the work because he in the night he watch a lot of movies. So I always when I was young and as a child, I don't like to be woke up early to the school. I would just sneaking, to see the movie with my father, and my mother told them where is he? He's sleeping, and he say yeah, he's sleeping. Let him sleep. And they told me it's sneaky more, and I was love to see acting and TV and the movies actually, and I after watching this movie when I was 5 years, I start to remake it again, by myself, to do some really unique careers that I see. And I go from the school, and from the school to the university, and because it's really hard to learn acting in Palestine, because there is let's say, it's super hard to find a place that you could learn acting or theater in Palestine. And yeah, I want to complete this thing because it's for me, it's mean a lot. And I hope there is something my father, he's dead before 2 years ago, and I would love to told him hey dad, I do it, I'm on the TV now, I would love to say that. So acting, for me, it's really important thing to do in my life, because I find myself in this place, and also it's one of the dreams that I have in my life. So yeah, this is for me. Thank you.
From my side, I'm outside the film industry. So basically, to me, this is about Palestine. And, every time I used to, I've been involved in a lot of initiatives before and even after. And, after October 7th, I used to go to conferences, and people would say, we feel crippled. We don't know what to do. How can we help? And I say, just involve yourself in any small initiative, even if that's small, at your own capacity. Because, the worst thing is just to be sitting, watching our phones and watching TV and just sitting there saying, and blaming others, actually. Blaming, maybe the Arab world or the West. But my question to people is, what are you doing about it? And sometimes it's just small initiatives at one's capacity. I chose to do this among other stuff because I can. And I think this is, it's especially on Palestinian and the diaspora. The people inside, it's enough for them to be steadfast. It's enough for them to survive. It's us outside, entrepreneurs, business people, who must do things to make the world realize that this cannot continue.
Thank you. Are we ending? I want to say thank you, Dania. Really, your work is part of that, and I just want, thank you. And I have a shirt for you. Thank you, all of you, too. Thank you for being here for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bell and Oscars. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you September 24th for the opening night of TPFF. And trust me, I am working so hard to get this film back to Toronto, so stay tuned.